So we're looking at the examples for Chapter 12. We need to survey a random sample of 300 passengers on a flight from San Francisco to Tokyo. Name each sampling method described below. Okay, so those were what I pointed out in the notes. The stratified, systematic, simple random sampling, and cluster sampling. So, if I told you to pick every 10th passenger as people board the plane,
Cluster?
what type would that be?
Would it be cluster?
Stratified.
Yeah, stratified.
I don't know, I'm guessing. I don't know all the options yet. I'm opening my notes so I know what they are.
Stratified, systematic, simple random sampling, or cluster?
Systematic.
Why?
Because there's a system in play. Like it's every 10.
You have to count every 10.
Yep, so systematic. Okay, because there's a specific pattern to what you're doing. From the boarding list, randomly select 5 people flying first class and 25 of the other passengers.
Random?
I feel like that's cluster. Wait, what's the other one? Stratified?
Yep, stratified.
I don't even know if I
So stratified is when there are distinct groups in our population that differ from each other. First stratify into separate groups, okay, so first class and then all other, and then use simple random sampling to pull samples from each strata. So it's stratified. Randomly generate 30 seat numbers and survey the passengers that sit there.
That's close.
Okay, that one's the one that's. Dang it. What are the words? That's the one that like. It's not the cluster one, but it's not systematic. Thank you.
Simple random sampling.
I was gonna say random.
Okay, so when it has like a randomly generate, something like that, okay, don't just look for random, but look for like randomly generating. And that'll kind of clue you in for that one. And then the last one, randomly select a seat position to like right window, right center, right aisle, etc. and survey all the passengers sitting in those
Is
seats.
that cluster?
That's a cluster. Okay, because there's something in common basically with that group that you're going for. Okay, we'll get there in a second. All right, so example 2. A question posted on the Linkos website on June 18th, 2000 asked visitors to the site to say whether they thought that marijuana should be legally available for medicinal purposes. What is the population?
People who looked at the Linkos website.
No, the visitors. Oh, I
Well,
guess it's the same thing.
Those people surveyed.
Okay.
Visitors to the site, so.
So officially the whole population is adults in the U.S.
How do we know this is only in the U.S.?
If you didn't have that part, that would be fine. It's a website for the U.S.
Okay.
So. All right, the population parameter of interest. So that's going to be the portion of U.S. adults that feel marijuana should be legalized for medicinal purposes. Now the sampling frame, it's not directly given, but you could say, kind of, y'all have already mentioned it, the people that are actually accessing the website. Now, the actual sample itself is the people who visited the website and responded to the survey. So go back to your notes and look for what sampling method you think this falls under. Okay, so there were like I think 3 or 4 different types of sampling methods that we mentioned.
This is the stratified thing again.
No, these are different. It's these types of the types of bias.
Wait, for the sampling method?
Yeah.
Voluntary response.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, why?
Because the people who visit the website aren't forced to do it, and nobody's forcing them to go on the website either.
Yep. So it's voluntary response.
Why wouldn't it be convenient sampling? Because it says examples are like people at malls or internet surveys.
Technically speaking, I mean, the voluntary response is one of those where they only have to respond if they want to. Typically, your convenience sample is going to be sending out like a mass poll and asking people like their opinion, or like going to the mall and saying, hey, do you feel that, you know, marijuana should be legal? And typically everybody's going to say yes or no, but you're only seeing a select group of people. So, I mean, you could make an argument for either one, but I would say it's probably more voluntary because they didn't have to respond. They're going to be motivated if they respond.
Convenience sample, they'll respond just because it's super easy. Like if someone just asked it to you, or just say like, hey, can you just fill out this form while you go in or something.
Yeah, or almost giving you some kind of a motivation, like oh, here, you'll get a free chicken sandwich if you answer the survey. Do you know what I mean? Like, kind of more like that. So you could make an argument for the convenience one, but probably more voluntary. And so is this random? No, not random. All right, and what's the potential source of bias?
Well, what do you think, Helena? Would it be a bad sample frame?
Well, it's voluntary response.
Especially negative people will respond.
I don't think it is.
Yeah. So it's still the voluntary response, okay? So people that choose to respond probably already care really strongly one way or the other about the issue. Which method did y'all actually say you thought it was?
The sampling method.
Yeah.
The SRS.
Yeah. So technically, yeah. That's not what I want. Hold on. What is happening?
So the method is the SRS, but it's not.
Technically, yeah, the method should be, I have it written down wrong on my other paper. This should be, I mean, yes, it is still a voluntary response, but the official method should be that it was, like, random. It's the only one that really makes sense. I mean, yeah, I would just say that it's random. Well, it can't be random because there wasn't randomization. So, hold on. Let's go look and decide together what we think it should be.
Is it stratified?
Well, stratified's gonna break it up into groups and then go from there.
It's not systematic. Well, it can't be random. That's just simple random. So if it's
Well,
not
the two separate groups are people that could answer and didn't answer, I guess.
I guess you could, yeah, I mean, I guess you could argue stratified. This one's kind of a weird one because you're gonna
response.
break them up into, I mean, you're not really breaking them up into groups. They're kind of already, because you're typically gonna have them going as like really strongly for, really strongly against. So you could probably make an argument for that.
Could it be cluster?
Well, that would be surveying like each group that once they've already said basically one way or the other. So I think if you're going to make an argument for one, it would be stratified because it can't really be simple random sampling if there's not randomization. So, where is it?
And why isn't there any randomization?
Because it's only like the very like specific people going to that site. So let's just say stratified for that one. All right, so then number 3, hoping to learn what issues may resonate with voters in the coming election, the campaign manager for a mayoral candidate selects one block from each of the city's election districts. Staff members go there and interview all the residents that they can find. So who is the population?
Anyone that's of age to vote.
Okay, city voters. The population parameter of interest. There technically is not one that is clear here, but what do you think they might be looking at?
To see if anybody has any complaints or like issues about it.
Yeah, so might be interested in how a voter responds to a particular issue. All right, what is the sampling frame?
If it's people inside the block.
Okay, yeah, all the city's residents. Well, we're going to get down to that in a second. The sampling frame is like the large chunk, so then the actual sample is what?
So the people inside the block.
Yeah, residents found on one block of each district. Okay, and it may be a block chosen at random. So what is the sampling method here that you think is
that
being
one
used?
cluster?
Possibly.
Or it could be systematic. Maybe. I don't know.
I think stratified.
The one I didn't answer.
Because you're like,
It's probably one of them.
When there are distinct groups in our population that differ from each other. But we don't. Do we know the groups? I don't know. Well, cluster because they're the same and they're
okay, so
randomly
stratifying and clustering
Multi-stage.
it, so we were both right.
Yes, you're both right. Okay, it's a multi-stage, so it's going to combine one or more of the above methods to form the sample. Okay, so what is technically happening here is that you've got multi-stage sampling. Okay, it is stratified by district. Okay, and then it's clustered by block. Okay, and is there randomization to this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there could be. It technically didn't specify one way or the other. It just says they select one. It doesn't tell us how, so it could be random, may not be. And what are some potential sources of bias?
Well, it might be a bad sample frame because it's only people from within.
Or you could have non-response. People that just don't want to be like, I don't want to vote, or I don't want to do your shit.
Could be response.
I don't think it's convenience.
Well, it says the campaign manager for mayoral candidate selects one block from the city's election district. So one is being selected.
Do you
But
think
they're using this to base it off of like every
is it under
everyone,
coverage?
so bad sample.
I don't
If you're
know.
used-
Is it all of them?
I don't know.
I would say convenience because you're conveniently going down one block and assuming that that is representative of everybody. You could also claim under coverage, okay, some portion of the population is not sampled, meaning if they're only sampling the, let's say, the rich neighborhood, and that's the block that they're going in, but not the district or the part of the district that has the block that's the low income neighborhood. So I think you can make an argument for either of those. Okay. You've got the people at home or work or a different location. You may have other staff members' places or whatever. So you could have convenient sampling. Because it could be people at home or work. Okay, because if they choose a block that's got like a bunch of apartments on it or something like that, some of the building may be apartment, some of it may be like jobs or whatever, and they're just sampling those people in that particular block. Or you could say under coverage. Because you're only basically surveying a select group of people. Okay, in a lot of respects with stuff like this, there could be multiple things, okay, like this one. You just need to explain why you're choosing the one you're choosing. Okay. All right. Manufacturers and advertising agencies often use interviews at shopping malls to gather information about consumer habits and the effectiveness of ads. A sample of mall shoppers is fast and cheap. How might this type of survey be biased?
I don't even know what a question is. A sample where?
Is it?
Convenience.
Yeah.
Yeah, convenient sample's the big one. Here, hold on a second. I need to take. I think that's what happened. So,
No.
okay. So then, well, we had talked about it. I know that because we talked about the different kinds of bias that it could be.
No, we did. I remember now.
So we said it could be a convenient sample or under coverage.
Those two seem to go together a lot.
Maddie, what is that?
I'm glad Brooke will be able to hear your singing.
Brooke!
I don't believe.
And she'll definitely be able to hear that.
Yeah, I think I just cured her ear infection.
Okay, and with this, okay, not everyone shops at malls, and so their opinions wouldn't be heard.
But they're so fun. You just spend the whole day there. Like, come on, guys, you can get their lives together. And just go
I
to the
worked
mall.
at the mall.
I
It's
like
not
to
fun
work
to spend every day
Yeah,
there
I
all
would not
day.
want to work there at all, but spend like one day there. That'd be
Depends on what mall.
That's how you get kidnapped.
I would like to go to one of those malls that's got like escalators
They're not that fun.
and
So like MacArthur Mall.
yeah, the big ones.
I've only ever been to one mall, and it was Patrick Henry Mall.
I went to Lynn Haven.
The only mall. Didn't we go to? Oh no, we went to a mall for tennis. I was like, didn't we go to a mall for volleyball?
We did go to a mall for tennis.
Yeah.
We did, and it was a 2-story mall.
For why? Why'd you go?
To eat
To
Chick-fil-A.
eat.
The Chick-fil-A that
Was it a nice mall?
I think
It was okay.
Like, did it look
It was alright, but the
expensive?
Chick-fil-A was trash.
They didn't have any mac and cheese. I was like, can I have mac and cheese, please? And they're like, oh, I'm sorry. We don't sell that at this venue. And I'm like, well, what kind of place doesn't sell their mac and cheese when it's on every other menu? A messed up one, that's the answer.
Malls are on a limited menu a lot,
That's stupid.
meaning they don't sell everything that all the stores sell.
Yeah, but mac and
that
cheese
makes sense.
should be
They
a
don't have
staple.
as much storage space.
Well, that's not necessarily why. It's more so that because of how you have to make certain items, you can't make a small enough amount for what you're going to sell that day. Like, you won't sell it all, so you throw a lot away. So they choose to not sell it so that they're not throwing it away. All right. Ann Landers once asked her readers of her advice column, if you had to do it over again, would you have children?
Yes.
She received nearly 10,000 responses, almost 70% saying no. Comment on this type of sampling.
Mean.
What? Are we just not, like, love
Really
enough?
mean.
We children are just so nice, though.
Sneeze or something.
Is it the one?
Or the popcorn kernel stuck in my tooth and it was really irritating me.
Is it like the voluntary one? The like only people who care a lot about it?
So is it the cluster sampling? Oh, I know there's a bias.
Well, yeah, we're just wanting, yeah. Voluntary response is really what I'm looking for.
Because they cared a lot about this one.
The bias, the bad sample firm.
So apparently all these people who read this lady's articles are just always being like, hey, kids aren't worth it.
Well,
They don't.
but remember, with voluntary response,
No, you're fine.
with voluntary response,
7,000 people.
huh?
It's like 7,000
Is
mothers.
people who are strongly motivated to respond, especially negative.
Good job.
I've been practicing my maths.
Strongly motivated respond. So with that, it's saying that like, if you don't really care, or you're like, yeah, I would have kids again, or whatever, or you're not really strong one way or the other, you're probably not gonna send in a response. But these people were like, absolutely not. Like, not having kids again.
Well, maybe they think that they're at like a good point of stopping and not having any.
But like,
No, it's saying if you go back in time, would you have kids again?
Oh,
so
so
they
they
said
just
no,
don't
so
like
they'd
their
rather
children.
just not have their family.
Maybe their kids were just bad though.
Or, but, I mean, that's the other thing. It's like the other day, for example, okay, Kenny and I were at our sister-in-law and brother-in-law's house, right? And they have 4 kids. The one woke up from his nap and was screaming for like an hour straight for no reason. Nothing could stop him, right?
Keep his mouth shut.
Not sure that would have worked. This kid was loud.
Shake it.
Oh yeah, that's real smart.
It works.
And
Shut up eventually. You can keep shaking.
she looked at us his sister looked at us at one point and said, "Are you sure y'all want to have kids?" And Kenny's like, "We're not having kids." And I was like, wrong answer. Okay, but it's like it could be even in that moment that their kids are being bad and that they don't want to have kids again. Or maybe their kids are normally really good, but when they read the article in that particular case, maybe their kids are being just
you could also
fine.
think
You
about,
never
like,
know.
The people that like didn't keep their kids or like put them up for adoption. Like, would you have kids again? Like, I would also be like, or like people who weren't like financially safe or not financially secure enough to like have kids. So then they're like their kids have a bad life. So you'd be like, no, I wouldn't have kids.
Yeah.
That's true.
So that's where it's like, and again, like what you said with the bad sample frame, I mean, it's only the people who read her specific column. I mean,
She could be an anti-baby column.
you just never know who's reading it, or, I'm not intentionally picking on Taylor, but Taylor likes to read, so maybe she's reading the column, and maybe she can't stand her kids, but Maddie hates to read, and so, I don't know if that's true or not, but Maddie hates to read, but Maddie loves her kids,
Yeah.
but Maddie's not reading the column, so she's not going to respond.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you have all those different things. So, sample, like the bad sample frame could potentially be an issue as well. But with this one, it's, again, just the reason is because people who have
Oh, dang it.
strong opinions are more likely to respond. Okay, and again, it's not that other options aren't correct, okay? Like Melcher had you, let's say that was a question on the quiz and you put bad sample frame. As long as you explain it, even though that may not be my answer, as long as it, makes sense.
So, like, if you
You know
wanted
what I
to
mean?
explain that one with, like, only people who read the column could answer?
Yeah. Basically, like if you didn't read the column, you had have no way of knowing to be able to answer the question kind of thing.
How would you get one that would have, like, no bias? Could you ever do one that would have no bias?
I mean, yeah, if you truly followed all the correct steps and it's truly random and I mean, like a census would be the most accurate way to do it. Okay, so this next thing, I don't even have a screenshot of it, of the dartboards, because there's dartboards on your thing. Because the screenshots were like just a bunch of round circles, not on top of each other. So, I'm going to... We are going to do that, the dartboard first. I'm just going to get that set up and ready to go. Okay.
I don't think pencil will show up very well.
Probably not. It was supposed to print, they were supposed to be blue and white. I don't know why they didn't print like that.
Oh, it's so much cooler. Ours was just an ugly gray color.
I know. It's really sad. All right, so I'm going to put the dartboards up underneath.
Can I use like a random color?
Yeah. Do you want me to chuck you a color?
I don't like the color gray. It's just that's like a very ugly gray.
Okay. You want a big one or a little one?
Which one do you think would be a better idea?
Probably a small one.
Okay.
Same thing.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Here, I'll chuck you another one so you don't have to move.
Oh,
Anybody else?
I'm just gonna use them. Well, that might work better. Wait, are we drawing dots?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll look
Yeah.
better.
Give
I
Taylor
like
a marker.
dots.
Huh?
Give Taylor a marker. She doesn't get the option.
Ugh.
Dang it.
Oh, that was a good
I
throw.
was really afraid I was gonna go to catch it and I was gonna hit the desk because I was like I'm gonna hit the desk.
That one might not show up very good. Hold on. Nice catch.
Maddie Bowie. Blinked and it was caught.
That's what I do in volleyball. I close my eyes when I block and I
Sorry, Brooke, if this video is making you dizzy. I know I'm moving. All right, so we're going to draw on the dartboards the dots, and then we'll write underneath of them what's going on.
I have really strong markers.
Okay, so on the first one, they're all here together. Oh.
A lot of them too.
Thanks for giving Taylor a marker.
Much nicer.
That's what we call precision. Not accurate. No, accurate? Accurate.
Accuracy. I hated accuracy. Precision.
Not accurate or
This one's
precise.
not anything.
You can be.
That person just
Bad.
guessed.
That's me when I play basketball.
That's me.
When you play basketball with a target.
Yeah, like,
Throws it.
I'm not accurate or precise. It's just kind of all over the place.
That's true. Sometimes you be making the.
And then sometimes it's like, oh no, I put one in the middle.
That's okay.
Berkeley.
Well, one doesn't count as
You
accurate.
have one job. Put them
No.
in random places and
No.
not in the middle.
Considering we're not doing precision and accuracy, I think you're all right.
Serious? Yes, I play basketball.
Really?
Oh my god.
Oh no,
You
we're
do?
not.
Yes.
Whoa.
I was like-
Have you not been watching the
Wait,
games?
but that person
Well-
missed the target.
Clearly not. You know they're joking around up in the bleachers. You know they don't watch.
That person missed the
I
target.
watched the last game. What?
She played like the entire time.
I
Yeah,
literally
that's
don't.
why.
I literally do not step off of the court unless I'm in foul trouble.
That's what I was
Which I
like.
definitely was
That's
last
why I
time.
I know, I was
I
cracking
sitting,
up.
I was sitting on 4 fouls for the 2 overtimes in the last quarter.
Okay.
Were you
what was-
fouling, huh?
I know, it was so funny when Greer was like trying to put in, I guess it was Holly that you were subbing in and out for.
It was Holly and Brianna and I.
It was so funny because he would like go to make the sub and the ref would be like, Coach, you better get your sub up there faster.
So then we were just kind of sitting there. We didn't really get to.
Oh, can you help me get waters and trash cans after school? Thanks.
Yeah. Did someone move the water after your guys' practice, or just leave it there? Melter, did somebody move the water? Was there water still out with the practice?
So one person
So Greer must put it away.
did really good at getting over the corner. One person did like just all over the place. One person kind of missed the board, and then the other person's like awesome and should like
Strong
go get
positive.
Hawkeye.
All right, so this
Yeah.
first one is high bias
This is a Hawkeye episode.
I know. I started watching.
and low variability.
It is good. I have to wait until this weekend to watch 2 more episodes.
Of what?
Hawkeye.
Hawkeye.
What is that? It's a Marvel
That's an
series.
adventure.
The second one is low bias, high variability.
Okay.
I want to watch the new Spider-Man movie that comes out next week.
Was it actually next week?
Third one, high bias.
17th. I get my license that day.
Don't you also have
High variability.
No, 18th.
I think it's funny that you're gonna get your license before me.
I also think it's funny.
And then your last dartboard is the ideal situation. It is low bias and low variability.
I got mine the same time as bro.
Well, really?
You know, it's really funny, like, that you say that, actually, because, like, I still don't have my license. Like, actually, it's kind of funny. My birthday is February 9th, and I should have gotten my license a long time ago.
Okay, Brooke, I'm going back to not making you dizzy anymore. Oh, wrong thing. I might have lied. Okay, we're good now.
Did you go to the same car?
Did you do O'Neill's?
Y'all have all this.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
We're gonna have to
Bye-bye.
stop in the middle of the intersection. Stop turning.
Okay, and we're back.
That happened to me
She's
too.
going 25 on a bridge, and I was like, yo, she
No, okay,
It's
so
a
the light
magnet.
turned yellow, and then she's like, oh, I'm gonna start slowing down. And then it turned red, and she's like, I can
No,
go.
I don't think so. She stopped in the middle of an intersection turning. She almost ran a red light. Oh my gosh.
Really? So the light turned yellow, so she slowed down, and then to stop, and then she decided she was gonna go as it turned red. So then she's like, oh, it turned red, so she stopped. But by that time, she's already in the middle of the intersection.
You know, it must be nice to take
It
behind
was
the
so
wheel.
scary.
You'll get there eventually, Berkeley.
Oh,
Maybe he
All right.
The light was here.
Survey questions. Examine each of the following questions for possible bias. If you think the question is biased, indicate how and propose a better question.
I think it's biased.
I agree completely.
Because,
Do you
like,
think high school students should be required to
I
wear
agree.
uniforms?
because then you have
Yes.
kids that are in high school that are like, I hate uniforms, but then you have like parents that are like, I see the
I
reason.
see.
I see the reason for this. Like,
I don't think it's a
Of course, the kids aren't
it
gonna.
might be
know
a
what-
vol-
I want to know if the question is biased,
Okay.
not the
I
answers.
don't think the question is biased.
No.
Because it's a general survey.
I think it is because it's asking an opinion.
That's what it has to ask.
Well,
I
what else
think-
is it gonna ask?
You like
Okay, guys. It could be asking an actual question and not an opinion.
So
It
this
works
one
out
is
Exactly.
unbiased
Unbiased?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
because it is not influencing an answer.
Oh, that makes sense.
okay, but like the reason I said that is because all these things that we're doing with the biases, they have to be opinionated questions. Because like it's not just
Okay.
one or two. Let's
Well,
not.
what are you gonna ask a person? Like how tall something is? Because they can all like easily like just measure something and see
Yeah.
how tall it is.
Like,
You're gonna
they're
ask
not-
them something about their opinion.
This would, I mean, a way that would make this question biased, just for one example, would be, do you think that private high schools are better because they're required to wear uniforms. Something like that is pushing you to answer one way or the other, essentially. Because it's getting really specific with...
So B is biased because it says, do you favor continued funding for spaceflight?
Well, it asks,
It says, given humanity's great tradition of exploration.
Yeah, it feels very like...
No. Are you?
I want to say it is biased.
It is biased.
That's what I literally just said.
What is it biased towards?
The funding for space flights.
It's trying to say like, hey, since
That's
we're
why
so
you
good
do
at
this.
exploration, you should fund us, sort of thing.
So it's biased towards a yes answer.
See how much smarter like her words are as a like I was just like it's biased toward the yeah sort of thing. Like my words, if I were to write things down, like just they our answer would just suck.
Okay, and the reason, I'm just going to highlight, the reason is because of, whoa, that's really big. Hello? Is because of this comment right here. Basically, do you favor us continuing to do this? Like, we're already doing it. Do you favor this? Okay, so it's essentially, instead of saying, like, you know, do you think that, well, it's the, do you favor continued? That's why it's giving you the, I mean, yes, part of it is the first part, because the first part is like praising it, but it's the second part of the, because I mean, if you didn't have the first part, the second part would still make it biased. Because it's still leading you to try to get you to give a specific answer.
It's saying, hey, look how great the world is now. We're already doing this, so do you want us to stop?
Yeah, it's like, shouldn't we just continue because we're already doing it kind of thing? And like, if they switch it to say like, do you believe that there should be funding for space flights?
Then that's not
That makes it a little more generic, and that's a yes or a no. Not
So,
like
like-
the fact that it's like continued, it's trying to get you to realize like, I want you to give me a yes. Like,
So
I'm
if I
trying
were
to
to
get
be
a
like-
yes.
Do you think we should wear red jerseys because we've been doing that all year?
Kind of, yeah.
That would be biased towards red
Yeah,
jerseys.
but if it just said, like, do you think we should wear a red or a gray jersey, that's not biased, basically.
Oh.
So, like, if you were going to say, do you want to go to this restaurant we planned to go to last week? That's kind of saying, like, yeah, or do you just want to go to this restaurant?
Do you want to? Which restaurant do you want to go to, A or B, or do you want to go to A because I really like that place?
You want to go to A because we went there last week.
Yeah. All right, I think y'all got that part down.
We did.
Brooke,
And
I
now
hope
if
you
wanna
could
go
catch
to
all of that.
A restaurant.
All right, fuel economy. Occasionally when I fill my car with gas, I figure out how many miles per gallon my car got. I wrote down those results after 6 fill-ups in the past few months. Overall, it appears that my car gets 26.4 miles per gallon.
That's not really good, but, like, it's okay. Well, I'm
How
sorry,
many
my...
miles per gallon?
Okay, we don't all have a little Prius, Taylor.
Yeah, tater tot. Some of us have SUVs.
Brooke, another funny video for you.
I didn't say that.
I was like, my car's doing good to get like 18 or 19. On occasion, I might get 22, so 26.4 sounds great.
My SUV is doing great too.
Yeah. Size driver.
I don't even know.
Oh, that's rough. Kenny and I had one of those on our honeymoon, and oh my gosh, the gas mileage was so bad. We had to get gas like every single day, and we weren't even going that far.
I don't know
I think it's
what you
13
classify mine.
miles.
Is it an SUV?
Oh,
What I have?
It's a crossover, probably, technically, which I say is an
Online it
SUV.
says- Online, it literally says a truck, and I'm like, this is not a truck.
Well, I said that's not the best. I never said it was bad. I just
Yeah,
said...
it was bad.
You said that's kind of bad.
Okay,
That's
well,
bad.
it's like, I was gonna say
All right. Well, when Brooke rewatches it, she can tell us what you said.
And I said
Okay,
SUV.
I think I should say it's kind of bad, but it is kind of like, it depends. Like, I don't know. I guess I'm just used to my dad's.
All right. So, what statistic have we calculated?
The gas mile.
Okay. Very specifically. Oh, not that. Average mileage for 6 fill-ups. Fill-ups that data was recorded for.
That's a lot of Phillips.
I can't anymore.
What is the parameter I'm trying to calculate?
How much gas you need for 6 fill-ups? How far you go for 6 fill-ups?
The mileage for your car.
That
I
was
can
not what
only
I said.
think of what Maddie said now.
I'm glad we're not thinking about what I How might results be biased? You might be dumb and write down the wrong answer.
That's not bias. That's just stupidity.
Well,
Oh, y'all probably. Melcher might check this. Do you check your gas mileage ever?
Huh?
Do you check your gas mileage ever? Does your car tell you what your gas mileage is? Like, will it tell you what you're currently getting or what you've gotten since your last fill up? Okay.
Tater Tots does.
Mine isn't that special. I
Mine
tried
actually does. It does like tell
But
you.
she
like,
might
how
not pay
fast-
attention to it. Your dad probably would because of
I
where he
don't.
goes to work. But,
Your car isn't
okay.
It depends on how far you drive, though.
Have y'all ever seen that there are 2 types of gas mileage? There's your around town gas mileage and then your
Yes.
highway gas mileage.
Yeah.
Okay. So, the thing here is that that's what's causing the bias potentially in this.
We don't know where
Okay.
she's driving.
Because we don't know where she's driving, right? We don't know if she's doing kind of a 50-50 where half is highway, half is around town. We don't know if she's only on the highway other than like pulling into her house.
I think the
like
only way to truly check this would be to do like the same route every day. And like have the same amount of like both. To make it like
Yeah.
truly-
yeah, basically you would have to do that. So we have around town versus highway mileage.
We get around.
'Cause, like if we're just driving locally, our gas mileage is like it's not the best. Like
Oh, what
still
is it,
46.
50 instead of 60 or something like that?
I think when my dad has like a really long trip, he can get it like really good. Like I think the highest he's gone is like 70 something. I was like, that's
Yeah, Kenny's grandpa the other day was like, oh yeah, I go to the gas station like maybe once a month. And I was like, what?
Yeah,
And he was like, yeah, I get like 72 miles to the gallon. And I was like, what? I was like, I get like 3 times that on 1 tank. And that's
I
it.
get like
Okay, so
30
my parents'
something
rule, I
for-
think, is like if we start driving by ourselves a lot more, then we're gonna have to pay for gas. But they're like, which means we give Brooke the Prius and Taylor the other car. I'm like, well, that's not fair because one's 30 versus like one that can get up to 70. I'm gonna be paying for gas a lot more than her, so that's not fair. So we just both use the same car. So, love you, Brooke. Sorry, I argued against the idea.
I would say who has a job, but
No, neither.
Don't you get paid for chores though?
I need grades. Same. Extra motivation to get good grades.
I'm gonna look at my
No,
fuel
I think the new rule is that they're paying for our insurance if we get good grades.
Why can't I
Good
look?
enough grades.
I'm going to refresh. Do I have to
For
be in the
car
vicinity of the car?
all right, when the Environmental Protection Agency checks a car like mine, okay, not like mine, but that one. Its fuel economy a car like mine to predict its fuel economy, what parameter is it trying to calculate?
Checks a car. What? The econ gas? I don't know. Is that a thing?
It's basically, it's weirded kind of worded kind of weird, weirded kind of word,
Oh.
worded kind of weird. I can't talk today apparently.
You're kind of worded.
Check multiple of the same type of car.
Mine's
This
24.6 miles.
For-
Like, you have to have like a control.
Mean gas mileage. What?
This is reminding me like majorly like science.
Um,
Because like you have to like make sure that it's unbiased, and by doing that you have to like eliminate as many like you have to have as many control things like as possible.
My fuel efficiency is 24.6 miles per gallon.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's good
Science.
enough.
So basically that means that you would have to take a whole bunch of the same car, same year, okay, and you'd have to check them. You'd have to drive them all the same basically to figure out what the gas mileage is. That's why when you go to a car lot, okay, and you look at cars on the window, they'll usually have a piece of paper that has your around town gas mileage and your highway gas mileage. Now, they'll always tell you that's plus or minus a couple miles per gallon because they've checked it on a whole bunch of different cars, but if yours is more souped up than another one or whatever, they may or may not be 100% accurate, but they're pretty close.
Or certain things you do when you drive. Like, make it.
That too.
Like, because, like, sometimes.
Like if you gas it.
Yeah.
So, but like, wouldn't they also have to like be like, what if you had like a new? Okay, if they're the same year, but one of them was used a lot longer than the other one, like wouldn't that? But like.
Well, yeah, this is more talking about when the EPA is checking stuff, they're checking it before it comes out. So like, they would have in June, basically, I'm just going to say roughly, they would have started checking the 22s. Because the 22s come out
Imagine
in
having that
August.
Job. Like, getting to drive around
However,
in a nice car.
yeah. However, obviously, this is a weird year. So, like, cars are, like, super behind because they're waiting on computer chips and all this other stuff. So, just go with the example, but not this exact year, okay? But, yeah, so that's what they're looking at. It's not like, oh, you've had your Prius for 6 months, but she's had hers for 2 years, but I've had mine for, you know what I mean? Like, it's...
Okay. Also, this is probably gonna be really stupid. I'm sure a lot of people know this, but I really don't. Why does it like 2022s come out in 2021? Like, I don't understand why. Like,
Like, are you talking about, like, cars that come out right now, that's 2022?
yeah.
Well, it's kind of December.
No,
Well,
she means like when
they
they
come out, like-
August and stuff.
I don't really know why they progressively come out earlier.
So, like, this is
Like, there are
literally
some people
2022.
right now who are ordering, like, custom cars, if you will. I didn't realize all this question was on here. They're ordering, like, custom cars, and what's happening is, or not even custom, they're just ordering their new car. So, they ordered, like, a 21, but it's not even going to be starting to be built until, like, December, like this month.
Yeah, 'cause
Like,
they're,
Kenny's
like,
ordered a car in June.
They're missing certain
And
things
she's
in
not,
inventory.
they're not even going to start building it to even give her a VIN number until December, like, next Monday.
They're, like, missing something that they need.
So, it's the computer chips. It's the
Okay, but
problem.
like usually, like
That's
a
what
car,
I'm-
like last year or like probably pre-COVID times, like
Yes,
maybe
they come out early.
2018, like near, like you said, like June and July, they'll start like offering you
So people can get ahead.
2020 cars in 2019.
Yeah.
It's just the way it works.
It's just, I don't understand
the
why.
way of the world.
It's just the new models coming out, and they want to get rid of all their old stuff, so they're going to discount their old, but they also want to start offering the newest.
'Cause, like,
But, like, a lot of these people that have ordered a 21, but they're having to wait for them to be built, so they're not even going to be done until the 22s are out. Or I know somebody else that ordered one, and they said that they just ordered a 22, but it's probably not going to be ready till the 23s are out. And the 22s just came out. So right now it's just weird, but even before that, they did come out early, but I don't really know what the reason behind it was, for sure. But
'cause now it's like they're like kind of ahead, but like they're still behind, and it's like weird.
yeah. All right, sampling methods. Consider each of the situations. Do you think the proposed sampling method is appropriate? Explain. We want to know what percentage of local doctors accept Medicaid patients. We call the offices of 50 doctors And randomly selected from local Yellow Page listings.
I
Are
think-
y'all even old enough to know what that is?
No, but
Yeah.
It's a
also
phone book.
I
know
think
Oh, yeah.
that
It's like they haven't been like. I mean, they still make them. Most people don't have them
is it
anymore.
under coverage?
It was a Matilda. She memorized the yellow page.
Yes, it is under coverage. Why though?
Because
She memorized the yellow page.
That's awful.
they're only calling the people in the yellow book from the local yellow book listing. So you know how many people don't have that or whatever. I don't know.
Imagine being so
Well,
Why is it under?
And
hope.
technically speaking, a doctor's office might not be in the Yellow Pages.
Where are the yellow pages?
She just
Like a
explained
phone
it to
book.
us.
Well, is it like just?
It's literally a phone book.
Well, there's other stuff in it than just a phone book.
We used to have.
Yeah,
them.
I mean, it's got like information and stuff in it. I mean, and it's like ads
Do they
and all
still
kinds of
have
like.
them?
Yes, but it's not. They don't really, because now you can just Google everything. Like, okay, so now, like, let's say you need to call the.
Tidewater Team Sports.
Yeah, you need to call Tidewater Team Sports. Now you can just Google it, and you just type in the name, and Google automatically puts their phone number up there for you. Right,
Oh,
but
like
you have a phone that
people,
can
didn't
do
they
that
have
now.
A phone book that had like people on it.
Some people,
Yeah, those are the white pages, I think. Or no, white pages are
they're white.
business. I don't remember. There's all different ones. There's one for businesses. There's
But
one
they
for
don't-
like
How do you
people.
even get one? You just go, hey, I want
Bible.
this.
They literally used to just like drive around like they do with a newspaper, which y'all probably don't get a newspaper either. But like
I
they
get a
literally
newspaper.
would drive around with like the newspapers. They were like in a bag, and they would just chuck them out on your driveway.
Wait, so do they change like all the time?
Well, I mean, yes, because new businesses pop up, old ones disappear or go
So
away.
like if you
or,
have one that was out of date, like it'd be really bad.
yeah, a year or so out of date's probably fine. When you get farther than that, it's not. But now you can Google everything, so they don't really give them out to most people anymore.
My old church used to make a phone book for like the people in the church.
Yeah.
We have one for our family, I think.
So,
I think we do
contact
too.
them.
Yeah.
Because I remember whenever we do like those little booklets for the fundraiser, when it's like you have to like message certain people, my mom would make me fill them out. She'd give me this book of people's names in our family to send it to, and it was really awkward.
Now she just hand you her phone and tell you to scroll through and find people with certain last names. But the other thing is it does cost money to put your business in the Yellow Pages, so that's part of the reason is that everybody
Oh, so you
may
have to pay
not.
to be in there too.
Yeah. The one with people, you don't have to. But the business one, which I think is yellow, so I guess the white pages are technically the people one. I can't remember.
Wait, so like
I thought it was the other way
okay,
around,
If you
but-
wanted to know someone's phone number,
there
say you had a crush on somebody, then they could just look your name up and just call you.
Yes.
Well, it would be your parents' name. It wouldn't be the kid's name.
Well,
So it'd probably be under the house.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be under whoever owns the house.
But yeah.
Was there a purple one or was it blue? Or green?
I think it was like blue on the outside, but the pages weren't blue. I don't
are
know.
the yellow pages yellow?
Yes.
Yeah, those were yellow.
I need to see if I can find one and bring it in because I don't know if we even still have one.
My
I
grandma
haven't seen a
has
phone
one.
book, but my grandparents, they have this like really old phone on their wall. Like you have to like do like it's like one of those things that you put up to your ear and like you have the other thing, and then like you use the little
The
thing. You have to
rotary
the thing.
phone?
You,
Yeah. A
yeah.
rotary phone?
All right. We want to know what percentage of local businesses anticipate hiring additional employees in the upcoming month. We randomly select a page in the Yellow Pages and call every business listed there.
That's still under coverage. On
Okay.
that sample frame.
Yeah, I would say still under coverage because
The same thing. Not all
in
businesses.
part of it, it's also just a cluster sample, so that also is going to play a role in that. But it's likely to give you all the same types of businesses because that's how it's organized. Okay, which I know y'all wouldn't know that, but
So it could, okay.
like
if
it would
it's
put all like restaurants together.
That's how we know it's a cluster samples because we know they put certain local businesses together and like other ones. Like you wouldn't compare like cars, like manufacturers, when you would compare it with like a restaurant. Because that'd be stupid.
Well, okay, if you look at just like a specific page is probably going to have, it's going to have no more than 2 different types of things on it typically. Because you're going to have like, your yellow pages is for like your area. So like, for example, for like the 757. So it's going to have like pages and pages and pages of all the restaurants in the area. It's going to have pages and pages and pages of all the auto shops in the area. So the only thing is if there's a split where like one ends, let's say the restaurant's in and the autos start, that might be on the same page, but you're going to get all the same type of business because that's how they lay it out in there,
So, like,
typically.
That'd be really awkward to be like looking at like this auto place
They
and then
used to
just be
put
like,
like
oh,
the actual
order
house
pizza.
address in the phone books.
For businesses they do, but not for,
like, people.
yeah,
'Cause
not
that
for
would be
people.
Creepy.
Yeah.
Oh wait, what?
If they put addresses along with like whole names.
And like,
I'm pretty sure they do.
I feel like they
if
do
you
it
didn't
for
have a
everything.
house phone, because like, I mean, back when I was younger, pretty much everybody had a house phone, but some people didn't. But like, they would put your cell phone number in there sometimes. But there, you had the option to basically call like Yellow Pages or whatever, White Pages. And you could say like, I don't want my phone number in there, so they would put it as unlisted. So like, a friend of ours who was a police officer, he didn't like his number to be out there because if he arrested somebody or something like that, they could find his number and figure out more information based on that.
Yeah.
So like, a lot of times like the police officers and things like that wouldn't list their numbers. Not that like, I mean, my family could have called and said we don't want our number listed, we just didn't care.
Yeah.
But all right.
That stuff scares me so bad.
What?
Like, who'll find your address? I'm just like, stalkers, creepy people. I don't know that for people.
All right, this is our last one. See if we can get through it here. Quality control. Sammy Salsa, a small local company, produces 20 cases of salsa a day. Each case contains 12 jars and is imprinted with a code indicating the date, which is a batch number. Wait, indicating the date, a batch number. I think it's supposed to say something else. I think it's what it's supposed to say. Something like that. Anyways, to help maintain consistency at the end of each day, Sammy selects 3 jars of salsa, weighs the contents, and tastes the product. Help Sammy select the sample jars. Today's cases are coded 07N61 through 07N80. So, basically, explain your sampling strategy here. So what this is saying is that 61 to 80, okay, which is the batch numbers here, okay, those are representing the 20 cases. Okay, so what we're going to do with that then is we're going to pick, using our random numbers, we're going to pick 3 2-digit numbers. Ignore repeats. So if you got like 62 twice, we're going to ignore the second one. So ignore repeats and any numbers outside the range. And then within the cases, there are 12 jars, okay? So then we're going to use, after you have that, you're going to use the numbers 1 to 12, okay? Or 1 to 12 if you're using the calculator, okay? To represent the 12 jars in each case. And then we're going to select 1 jar from each of these selected cases.
So how would you plug that into your calculator in the random integer thing? Or would you have to use something else?
You would say, well, basically, you could, since you're not, well, hold on, let me stop. If you're using a random number table, you have to use 00 to 99, technically, to have your 2-digit numbers. If you're using your calculator, then you could do the random integer from 61 to 80, and then tell it that you need to pick 3 numbers from there. Okay. And see what 3 numbers you get when you run it. Or you could just run 1 number at a time until you get 3 numbers. That either way would work. Then after that, then you're going to do 0, 1 to 12 if you're using the table, or 1 to 12 if you're using your calculator. And then just say pick 1 number. So if I got, let's say, the first one I got was case number 72. So in case number 72, then I go down and I say, okay, what jar? I got jar number 4. And I'm going to check jar 4 from case 72, basically is what's happening. And you're going to check 3 jars, 1 from each case that you pull.
So you like run the first one to figure out which 3 like places you're getting it from, which 3 cases, and then you're gonna use the 0 to 12 to figure out from which jar you're gonna check.
And you'll do that for each. Like, you're not gonna take jar 4 from every single case. You know what I mean? I mean, unless that's what your random thing gives you, but you're not just gonna say, oh, I just ran it once and I'm choosing jar 4. So, show how to use random numbers to pick 3 jars. Okay, basically, we just talked about this. Okay, it's multi-stage or cluster sampling. Okay, so we're going to first select 3 cases at random. And then we're going to select 1 jar from each case. So did you use a simple random sample? So in this case it would be no, okay, because in this method all jars could not be selected. It's not possible to get all 3 jars from the same case. Okay, now if you could, then it would be a simple random sample, but since you can't, it's not. Okay, so tomorrow we're gonna tomorrow we'll answer the questions that go with 11 and 12. I may give you like a couple problems to do for chapter 12, but as far as the quiz on Friday, you just need to be able to do the problems from chapter 11 that we did, the homework problems you were assigned, or the chapter 12. Actually, I'm just going to narrow it down. It's just going to be the chapter 11 problems that you had on the worksheet, or the chapter 12 problems, or the questions that we have tomorrow. I'm going to narrow it down that much. Now, make sure you still understand what each type of like sampling is and stuff like that, okay, and be able to explain it. That'll also just help you, but that'll come up a little bit more in the questions. Thursday, bring your testing quizzes. I don't have the total, so y'all don't need yours for tomorrow. I don't have the totals of how many things it was, but I think I decided there was like a 2 and 3 quiz, I think, and then a 1 through 4 test. I think there was a 5 and 6 quiz, and then a quiz for 7 through 7 and 8 or something like that. A test for 7 through 10.
Yeah, I think it was a quiz from 7 to 9, a test from 7 to 10.
And then it's going to be this quiz.
11 to 12.
I think. I don't know, something like that. So ballpark however many that equals, is what you have. So.